That's no good. Listen to that.
Dead frog, poor guy. Made his last jump in. Motor sounds a little funny. Hi, I'm Phillip with Yarbrough Sons Heating, Air and Plumbing, and today we're heading out for a heating and air inspection at a customer's house. We're going to do a one-time inspection on the full heating system, a one-time inspection on the cooling system in the same trip. We don't know a whole lot about this system. We do know that they've had some noise from the outdoor unit upon startup and shutdown. Homeowners have been told before that they do need parts on that outdoor unit, so we're going to go out there and figure out what they have going on today. Job like today, you know, I could probably get by grabbing a handful of tools, some sandpaper to clean that flame sensor, some a 5-in-1, a meter, a pair of needle noses would probably get me by, but I am in the habit of just taking my tool bag most places I go. All right. We've got an electric furnace. 11-year-old system, manufactured in 2014. I'm just going to take some pictures here, which we standard on any of our service calls or maintenance calls. Take pictures of pretty much anything we look at to help tell the story of why we're telling you what we're telling you and why we have what recommendations we may have. Fairly clean overall. Let's just take a look at the incoming power. Got 247 coming in, pretty clean, pretty typical for this part. Got an ECM blower here. A little bit of growth. Wheel, not really in need of a cleaning. I mean, in this case, as dirty as this wheel is, I'd be looking more into IAQ, something like an iWave, get an ionizer to help clump up dust particles and make them stick to the filter a little bit better, because this wheel is not dirty enough to where it needs a pull and clean, but they definitely need some attention. Blower just came on in heat pump mode, so that's a good opportunity while we're here. Just go ahead and double check and see what we're pulling amperage wise. Like to log all the pictures we can and let that shut off. I'm going to go to the thermostat and just make sure it's operating and bringing everything on at the thermostat the way that it should be. And we'll check emergency heat. EM heat for emergency heat. And we'll go ahead and kick it up. It's fairly mild outside, pretty cold. I'm going to turn it up to make sure it stays on long enough to do a good check on everything. Check filters while we're here. Filters in severe need of changing. That's definitely going to be causing them some heating issues right there. I'm surprised that they haven't had any complaints yet as far as airflow or unit not keeping up. Oh yeah, this is the second filter on the same system. Both 14 by 24 filters, both very, very dirty. So we need to definitely get that addressed while we're here. We know they're dirty from looking up through the grills. Whew. That's no good. Listen to that. Struggling for airflow. With a filter looking like this, you are going to experience airflow issues. Is going to be something you're going to notice over time. Ultimately, and keep yourself from having heat. Biggest thing that you're going to notice with this, obviously, without taking care of your filter, you're going to end up with dirty evaporator coils, dirty blowers, a dustier home. Definitely something you need to keep on a routine schedule. Filter number 2. Whew. It's about exactly the same. So we're just going to close this up. We're not going to leave them without a filter for long. We're going to check our heat differences and all that without a filter, because we know for a fact that these dirty filters are going to mess with our readings. Now we're going to get back to the unit. We've got it calling for emergency heat at the thermostat. So we're going to come up here, check out these heat strips and make sure that everything is operating as it should be. very many wires in an electric furnace. Most brands are pretty difficult to latch onto. So if you're a homeowner trying to mess with your electric furnace, I would highly advise against it. This unit's going to be 11 years old here soon, getting to the point where, you know, to the homeowner's knowledge, they've lived here a few years out of that 11, and they haven't had any major issues other than being told they needed a capacitor on the outdoor unit. So we'll double check that while we're here as well on that heat pump. Overall, nothing crazy quite yet. My next step, I'm going to look at this evaporator coil, see what kind of dirt content we have. Oh yeah, there you can see there's a decent amount of growth on that coil as well. I think this would justify a level 1 coil cleaning. Breaker back to on. Check our supply and return difference here. I've pulled the filters out of the grill for now to get an accurate temperature split reading. You can see with 10 kW worth of heat, that's 2 sets of heat strips. You got about a 22 degree temperature difference. They are putting out 95 degree air. That's going to be comfortable when it's you know, 20-25 degrees outside. You're probably going to be fine, but if you get extended time in the teens and single digits like we have the last few years, you're definitely going to feel some discomfort. I'm going to grab my DepthTech camera. Inspection camera hooks up right to my iPhone, and I'm going to go use this to get a better eyeball on that evaporator coil since we noticed a decent amount of dirt on it. Once in a while you can get something come loose within the duct system, whether it's a tiny piece of duct line or insulation, whatever it may be. Catch on those heat strips and you'll think something's on fire, and I guess it technically is. You'll have a little something burning off of your heat strips, and just want to double check, make sure there's nothing there. Right, so there's a good view. You see a little bit of buildup in between, and that is a neat camera. Very helpful for this line of work. A little bit of rust, which with this being a heat pump, we're going to check refrigerant pressures here soon anyway. Definitely start keeping an eyeball on it if you get a report of any rust on your evaporator coil. I am going to recommend that they get a 15 kW heat strip put into this to replace their 10 kW, because they're at a point where if they were to need to rely on this for more than a few days, it'd probably be pretty uncomfortable. You know, if it's 10 degrees outside, 64 is tolerable, but it's definitely not going to be able to keep them 68, 70 degrees where most people like to set it for heat. Then we'll move our way to the heat pump and see how that's operating. They've been told in the past that they need a capacitor for this outdoor unit, and they've talked about noise upon startup and shutdown. And with the history of a weak capacitor, so far it's a good chance that it looks like it could be a weak capacitor causing them the noise issues as well. So we'll dive in and see what we got out here. The points on that contact right there are in awful rough shape, so I'm definitely going to recommend this to be replaced. And this is one of those parts, you know, that everything's still operating, but for how long, it's hard to say. And that's going to be one of your more inexpensive repairs. And we know we had 240 volts to the unit. We're going to check and confirm that we're dead now. We got some chickens making noise over here. I always enjoy the wildlife. You never know what you're running into, from dogs and cats and chickens, which we have all three here at this home. Oh man, that's fun. We got a dead frog up there. Made me jump a little bit. Dead frog, poor guy. You can see the exact position made his last jump in. He was probably trying to stay warm and ultimately got too warm. Very good amount of oil right here on the front side of this capacitor. Got a nice dent in this capacitor as well. It's going to be causing them some issues. Looks like the factory motor. Got no play in the bearings. I've got a good free spinning fan blade, fan motor, no slack whatsoever. So I'm going to call this healthy as far as we know for now. The only thing we've not tested is with it running. I like to use these digital gauges because everything reads out to an app to my phone. I can look at my My refrigerant pressures, my indoor temperatures, my outdoor temperature, static pressure, all at once. Now we're in a 5-minute delay. It says wait. We will wait. Well, we've done all the tests we can do with the system turned off. Checked the bearings on the fan motor, did a bench test on the capacitor, did a visual inspection on the contactor, visual inspection on this coil. It is clean, and fire it up. Motor sounds a little funny. When you got a little noise like that coming from a motor that's drawing proper amperage, overall operating like it should be, not any kind of play in the bearings, but making a sound, I'm going to recommend replacing that motor. And that's one of those repairs that's kind of a tough call in the field in this trade, because there's obviously a noise coming from this motor, there's something going on, but at the same time it's operating well within amperage rating. Bearings and the motor itself are doing well, so it's one of those that's a tough call. You don't want the homeowner to be down and out if it does fail, and at the same time you don't want to sell somebody something they don't want, don't need, or can't afford. Situation like this, it's working great, and the only thing we got is a little bit of a noise. I think I'd like to get another opinion on that. System is operating. It was a heat pump with an air handler for backup heat with two sets of heat strips. So we're going to recommend that they upgrade that heat kit to add another set of heat strips. Heat kit they have is currently fully operational, and like I was saying earlier, probably going to keep that house to 63, 64 degrees whenever we drop down to those single-digit negative wind chill temperatures. Reasonable for some people, not reasonable for others. So I'm at least going to give them the option to add that. If they're good with keeping 10 kW, then that's great. We found a pitted contactor on the heat pump outside. Found a weak capacitor on the outdoor unit, which was leading to a pretty hard startup on the compressor and fan motor. Overall system for an 11-year-old system, it's in decent shape. Definitely needs some attention, and if they're willing to move forward with the repairs, we can keep this system up and cooling at least one more season, and I'd foresee at least a few more seasons. I'm Phillip with Yarbrough Sons Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, and we'll see you next time.